Dear chosen one, there was a moment when your enemies celebrated too soon. A time when those who plotted against you thought they had won. The silence of heaven felt deafening as you watched injustice flourish, while your prayers seemed to echo unanswered in empty rooms. But today is different. God has awakened something in the atmosphere. Can you feel it? The shift that's happening right now isn't random. It's divine. What looked like God's absence was actually God's strategic positioning. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button now. This revelation about divine justice is exactly why God led you to this channel today. Don't miss what He's about to pour into your life through Chosen Faithcast. They never thought this day would come. The mockers, the betrayers, the ones who dismissed your calling. They misunderstood your patience for weakness and your faith for foolishness. Take a deep breath. Center your heart. This message isn't coming to you by accident. It's coming by appointment. Type "My justice has arrived" in the comments as a declaration of faith. Let your fingers be the first act of agreement with what heaven is about to reveal. Your season of vindication isn't coming. It's here. One of the hardest tests for any believer is waiting when it looks like evil is winning. You've stood in faith. You've declared God's promises. You've walked in integrity. Yet those who wronged you appear to prosper while you struggled. The questions came. God, do you see this? Are you even listening? Here's what most don't understand about divine timing. God makes everything beautiful in His time. Not your time, not their time, but His perfect time. This delay wasn't punishment. It was protection. Had justice arrived prematurely, 3 critical things would have been missed. First, your character wasn't ready for the weight of what God wanted to give you. The waiting period wasn't wasted. It was building spiritual muscle that could handle blessing without breaking. Second, hearts needed to be fully exposed. God allowed time for hidden motives to surface. What was whispered in darkness is now being shouted from rooftops. Third, your capacity for blessing needed expansion. If vindication had come earlier, you would have celebrated too small. God was enlarging your vision during the wait. Remember Joseph in prison? For years it seemed his dreams had died. But God wasn't late. He was laying groundwork. When Pharaoh called, Joseph wasn't just prepared. He was positioned with authority that surpassed his original dreams. Your delay has been your development. What felt like divine hesitation was actually divine cultivation. The waiting wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Let's address what they misunderstood about you. They saw your quietness as weakness. They interpreted your restraint as defeat. When you didn't defend yourself, they assumed you couldn't. When you didn't fight back, they thought you were broken. What they failed to recognize was a profound power of strategic silence. While they were talking, God was moving. While they were plotting, heaven was positioning. While they were gloating, angels were assigned. Your silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. When God instructed you to stand still, it wasn't because He had forgotten you. It was because He was fighting for you in realms you couldn't see. True power isn't always in what you say. Sometimes it's in what you withhold. Think of David before Goliath fell. The giant mocked while David remained focused on God's promise. The Israelites trembled, but David knew something they didn't. When God fights your battle, the outcome is guaranteed. Your restraint revealed your maturity. You understood that not every accusation deserves a response. Not every attack warrants your attention. Some battles aren't meant for your hands, but for God's. This is why they're shocked today. They misread your patience as powerlessness. They confused your peace with passivity. They thought your silence meant you were defeated, when in reality, you were simply deferring to a higher court. And now that heaven's verdict has come down, they stand astonished at how thoroughly God has vindicated what they tried to destroy. When we talk about justice in God's kingdom, many expect thunderbolts and immediate judgment. But divine justice often works differently than human revenge. God's justice isn't just punishment. It's restoration of proper order. It's not just about your enemies falling. It's about you rising into your rightful place. Here's what biblical justice actually looks like. First, there's exposure. What was hidden in darkness gets revealed in light. Motives that were concealed behind smiles and false support suddenly become visible to everyone. The masks fall away, not because you pulled them off, but because God's timing made them impossible to maintain. Second, there's natural separation. Notice how certain relationships have fallen away without you having to cut them off? That's divine justice working. God separates what was toxic from what is life-giving. Third, there's elevation. While attention was on the conflict, God was quietly preparing your promotion. Now, as justice arrives, you find yourself lifted to heights you couldn't reach through your own efforts. Finally, there's the peace that defies understanding. When justice comes, you don't feel the burning need for revenge that once consumed you. Instead, you feel release. You feel clarity. You feel freedom. What you're witnessing isn't coincidence, it's consequence. Every seed planted eventually produces a harvest. Those who planted corruption are reaping the same. Those who sowed faithfulness are now seeing the fruit. Have you noticed God turning situations around when you least expected it? Share your testimony in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hold on a little longer. Remember, you don't need to force justice. You don't need to manipulate outcomes. The law of sowing and reaping works without your help. God ensures that every action returns to its source in due season. What you experienced wasn't just difficult circumstances. It was spiritual warfare. The attacks against you weren't random. They were targeted. The opposition wasn't just human. It was orchestrated by forces that recognized your threat level. The enemy attacked your mind with thoughts of giving up, of being forgotten by God. Identity, questioning if you were really chosen, really called. Faith, suggesting that your prayers hit the ceiling, that God had abandoned you. Relationships, turning trusted allies into sources of pain. You weren't just facing people. You were facing principalities. Not just personalities, but powers. Not just humans, but the rulers of darkness. Here's the revelation that changes everything. The level of warfare indicates the level of your assignment. Small destinies don't attract intense battles. Minor callings don't merit major opposition. The enemy doesn't waste resources fighting those who pose no threat. The fact that hell mobilized against you is proof that heaven has invested heavily in you. Every attack was confirmation of your importance in God's plan. Every setback was evidence that your breakthrough threatened the kingdom of darkness. Think about it. In biblical history, who faced the fiercest opposition? Joseph, David, Daniel, Jesus, the ones carrying the greatest assignments. The warfare wasn't punishment. It was promotion paperwork. It wasn't a sign of God's absence, but evidence of your advancement. Now that justice has arrived, understand this clearly. The battle didn't happen to you. It happened for you. It didn't diminish you. It developed you. What was meant to destroy you has instead distinguished you. While you were waiting for vindication, something profound was happening within you. You weren't just surviving. You were transforming. The version of you that entered this battle is not the version standing today. Compare who you were then to who you are now. Then, you needed external validation. Now, you're anchored in God's approval. Then, you reacted from emotion. Now, you respond from wisdom. Then, fear drove your decisions. Now, faith determines your direction. Then, you took offense quickly. Now, you recognize distractions instantly. This evolution explains why. Now that justice has come, you don't feel the urge to gloat or to publicly shame those who hurt you. That desire for revenge has been replaced with something more powerful: peace. This transformation is the greatest victory. They thought they were breaking you, but God was building you. They thought they were disqualifying you, but God was developing you. Your capacity for compassion has expanded. Your discernment has sharpened. Your prayer life has deepened. Your dependence on God has strengthened. Had justice come earlier, you might have remained unchanged, reactive, insecure, easily offended. But God loved you too much to leave you that way. This is why the psalmist could say, "It was good for me that I was afflicted, that I might learn your statutes." What felt like affliction was actually advancement. What seemed like setback was set up. The pain wasn't just about what was happening to you. It was about what was happening in you. And that inner transformation, that's the miracle they never expected. Now that justice has arrived, How do you navigate this new season without repeating old cycles? Here are 5 practical steps to walk in your vindication with wisdom. First, release all resentment. Justice doesn't require you to carry bitterness. Holding on to past hurts is like drinking poison and expecting others to die. Let it go, not for their benefit, but for your freedom. Your hands can't receive new blessings if they're still clenching old offenses. Second, remain humble in your elevation. When God lifts you, the temptation of pride will follow. Remember, the same God who vindicated you can humble you if pride enters. Walk with gratitude, not arrogance. Third, strengthen your prayer life immediately. New levels bring new battles. The enemy may have lost this round, but he's studying your patterns for the next attack. Stay vigilant in prayer. Victory isn't a time to relax spiritually. Fourth, obey God completely. Partial obedience produces partial results. If God has been impressing something on your heart, a ministry to start, a relationship to restore, a habit to break, do it now. Delayed obedience is disobedience. Fifth, focus on your assignment, not your achievement. Vindication isn't a destination, it's fuel for your mission. Don't get distracted celebrating the victory when there's kingdom work ahead. When Joseph finally rose to power, he didn't waste time celebrating Potiphar's wife's lies being exposed. Instead, he immediately began the work God prepared him for, saving nations through wisdom. Justice cleared your path. Now walk it with purpose. Chosen one, with justice comes acceleration. What was blocked is now opening. What was delayed is now advancing. The dreams you had to put on shelf during the battle, it's time to dust them off. This is the season to manifest what God planted in your heart. First, write the vision again. Some of you buried your dreams because the pain made them seem impossible. Get your journal out. Write down what God showed you before the battle began. Those dreams didn't die. They were preserved for this moment. Second, take immediate action on what God has already revealed. You don't need new instructions to move forward. You need courage to implement what He already showed you. Obedience activates acceleration. Third, reject the doubts that try to resurface. The enemy will whisper, "Are you sure? What if you fail again?" Recognize these thoughts as desperate attempts to keep you from your destiny. Fourth, move boldly but prayerfully. Boldness without prayer is presumption. Prayer without action is procrastination. Balance both. The people who oppose you never thought this day would come because they underestimated God's faithfulness to you. They misjudged your resilience under pressure. They mistook God's timing for God's absence. Now they watch in amazement as what they try to bury blooms before their eyes. Your vision may have seemed delayed, but it was never denied. It was waiting for the right conditions, for your character to match your calling, for the opposition to be removed, for the perfect timing God had ordained. Chosen one, today marks a turning point in your journey. What was meant for evil, God has transformed into good. The weapons formed against you have failed. The plans devised to destroy you have become the very steps to your destiny. This vindication carries responsibility. Walk forward not in pride, but in purpose. Not seeking revenge, but pursuing restoration. Not focused on the past, but fixed on your future. God hasn't brought you this far to leave you. The same power that vindicated you will sustain you. The same wisdom that guided you through darkness will direct you in light. If this message has stirred your spirit, take it as divine confirmation. Your season has indeed changed. Share this video with someone else still waiting for their vindication. Your testimony might be their lifeline. Subscribe to Chosen Faithcast if you haven't already. Join our community of believers who refuse to settle for less than God's best. Together, we'll navigate these shifting seasons with faith and wisdom. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you for your perfect timing in the life of every person hearing this message. Where the enemy meant destruction, you've brought development. Where he intended shame, you've created strength. I pray that each chosen one watching will walk confidently in this new season of justice, carrying wisdom rather than wounds, purpose rather than pain. Let their vindication become a testimony that draws others to your faithfulness. In Jesus' name, amen. Remember, you didn't need to fight back. God fought for you, and He's not finished yet.